Fentanyl is a sedative that's used to put people to sleep for surgery and is a painkiller after really painful operations and that sort of thing. It's been around for decades. It started appearing in the illicit drug market around 2007, 2006. We had a painkiller crisis where people were becoming addicted to painkillers. So we started regulating the prescription of these painkillers and limiting them. And then the heroin market grew. People turned from using painkillers to using heroin, opioids. And the opioid demand became so much so that fentanyl started replacing heroin, where fentanyl is a synthetic drug. It can be made in a lab, whereas with heroin you need to grow poppies and make opium out of it and process it in a way that's almost a farming operation. Fentanyl is the synthetic drug crisis come to a sort of a tragic end in the United States. So fentanyl is dangerous for a couple reasons. The first is the obvious one, which is that it's about 30 to 50 times more potent than heroin, which is already a tremendously dangerous illicit drug in the United States. It turns out, though, that what's really killing people isn't so much that sheer potency, although that is doing it. You have people who are naive to opioids who are getting heavy doses of fentanyl, but the variability of the drug in the illicit drug market. It's not so much just the sheer punch of the thing, but that you have uneven distribution of doses. So you might have one dose that's 0.5 milligrams, where 2 milligrams is thought to be a lethal dose according to the DEA. But you might have anything from 5 milligrams to 0.1 in the drug supply. And so people who are buying these drugs illegally don't know what they're getting. They might be getting a really deadly dose and have no idea what it is that they're injecting or sniffing. In the legal setting, fentanyl is used as an anesthesia. It's something that puts people under. It's widely used. It's a really great painkiller after surgery or for severe injuries, that sort of thing. And it's been that way for decades. There's actually patches that people use as painkillers. What we're talking about here is illicit fentanyl. This is fentanyl that's sold on the illegal drug market. That is what's killing people. It's sold as heroin. And it's not heroin, and everybody knows it's not heroin. Well, not everybody, that's an important point, because now it's being sold in pills. So people think they're getting Adderall, they think they're getting oxycodone, and they're not habituated to heavy-duty opioids at all, and they get hit with this stuff and they die. You've seen cases, the baseball pitcher Tyler Skaggs, who died. He was a great example of this. He asked the person who gave him the pills, do you think are these oxycodone? Oh yeah, and they weren't, and they killed him. During the pandemic, overdose deaths in the United States increased by about 30% or more, and it's continuing upward. It went from 70,000 deaths a year to around, or more than 100,000. What happened? Well, people were isolated, they couldn't use with their friends, and so when they overdosed, they died. And what also happened was fentanyl continued to infiltrate the market, and it's a more dangerous drug even than heroin and these other drugs. And so this curve of deaths is just starting to turn exponential on us, where 2013, we were worried about, 30, 40,000 deaths a year. It's increased tremendously. So, since the war on drugs began, there's been a push and pull between treatment and police action, and we've gone heavily on the police action. We've tried to outlaw these drugs. We've tried to stop the flow from Mexico and other places of these drugs. So what you've seen is a turn towards harm reduction, which is a very old idea in medicine, but in this context means giving people the tools to safely use these drugs, even if it is illegal. So you've seen things like safe needle sharing, where new needles are handed out to people. This actually limits overdoses as well as outbreaks of diseases like HIV and hepatitis. You see fights brewing now over safe injection centers in different cities, where you would actually allow people to use these drugs in these places where they overdose, they don't die, and they don't put a strain on resources the way that they do when that overdoses happen. It's going to become the shift in state laws is sort of things like Good Samaritan laws, where somebody reports an overdose, you don't arrest him for using drugs. You let them report when their friends overdose.